Okay. I will be continuing the reading of my full-length novel slash screenplay, Backwoods, as part of the Monsters Saga in this video. This will be video number 6 as for Backwoods Monsters. In the last video, we did the first portion of Act 4, Day 5, covering scenes 11 through 28. And actually, we did an extra scene covering the Lasby's first impressions of the property with the dialogue. But we got to the property. We were at the old Talbot's farm slash the Wade family's property. And, well, that would have made for scenes, again, 11 through 29. Wow, we did almost 20 scenes. But again, 11 through 29. And, well, today we are going to pick back up right where we left off, and we're going to cover scenes 30 through 37. Doesn't sound like it's going to be as long of a video as last time, huh? Just you wait. We have a rather extensive scene coming up. But we're going to get right into it since it is going to be we're in for it. We got some pages to cover, about 17 of them to be precise. So we begin with scene 30, which is going to be an exterior setting slash location, daytime, still early afternoon. This is going to be continued from the last scene, which is continued right where we left off in the last video. The Lasby station wagon heads up the dirt road that also serves as a driveway leading up to the farm's main home, the main house. As the Lasbys make their way down the hill, they find themselves driving along in between the front fields of the property. Looking out the window to their left, the Lasbys can see cattle grazing in a field, but the field is completely overrun with tall grasses, weeds, unkempt and overgrown vegetation, fallen trees, manure, and even all sorts of garbage and debris. A number of trash heaps are scattered about in this field, seemingly at random. Looking out the window to their right, the Lasbys can see a field containing horses, which looks to be in no better shape than the field for the cows. There are also a few small trash heaps strewn about in this field, but in a way there are fewer of them. However, the reason for this is that there is a much larger single trash heap which contains the remains of a number of rusty, broken down cars, broken household appliances, and other such old, broken down, rusted out equipment that no longer works, which can be seen sort of strewn about near a big tree over in the northwestern corner of this field. Over by the well where the Waydes fetch their drinking water. despite the warning signs that something's not quite right here, the Lasby's station wagon continues along the dirt road toward the main house. This scene will be in conjunction with the main settings / locations marked by a bold letter E, which, well, we covered in the main synopsis, which made for the first and second video. And, well, E, bold letter E, this will pertain to the Wayde family's property's exterior. The entire property, anything exterior, Wayde family property. I'm going to cover it. And, well, we covered E in the beginning of the second video. So, I believe that was the first main setting / location we covered in the second video. We are now going to move on to scene 31, which is going to be an interior setting / location. And this is going to tie in to the main settings / location marked with the bold letter C, which is going to pertain to the interior of the Lasby's station wagon, which was covered in the first video. But it wasn't the last setting / location covered. This, the last main setting / location covered in that first video was actually D, which pertained to the hotel room they would first be arriving at, the interior of that hotel room. C was the second to last interior / setting that we covered in that first video. And again, pertaining to the interior of the Lasby station wagon. And I just wanted to get both of those out of the way right now, because those are the two main settings / locations we are going to be referring to for the most of this video. If we get to anything else, we will expound upon it then. For now, we move on. We're on scene 31. Interior, daytime, early afternoon, continued from last scene. Back inside the Lasby's station wagon, the Lasbys are reacting to the polluted fields while slowly making their way toward the farm's main house. Bold letter C. We begin this dialogue with Paulette addressing Martin with astonished curiosity. I wonder if the owner plans on cleaning up these fields anytime soon. Martin, replying to Paulette and, though wit still intact, sounding a little surprised himself. I'm wondering if they're being used as a garbage dump. Paulette instinctively reacting and scolding Martin, she says, Martin, that's horrible. How could you say such a thing? Martin, pointing out the obvious, well, just look. Those are piles of trash, Paulette. Paulette, attempting to comprehend the situation, but in the end giving up and giving in to a sense of astonishment and incredulity. Yes, they are. I know that. Maybe there's some reason. Oh, I just don't know what to think. Paulette, again, after a brief pause. I don't like seeing those horses and cows stuck out there in those filthy, litter-strewn fields. That's way too much like animal cruelty for me to stomach. Martin, agreeing with Paulette, but still trying to be reasonable in regards to their purpose in coming here. I don't like it either, honey, but what say do we have in the matter, especially if we hope to be welcomed here? We now pause for character actions. Paulette nods her head but says nothing in response. She does, however, have a rather disquieted and perturbed look on her face, obviously due to seeing the animals' fields looking the way they do. This makes for a bit of a moral crisis for Paulette. Paulette has grown up to recognize complaining and butting into other people's business as a display of rudeness and a showing of disrespect. But at the same time, she is bothered by the trash in the animals' fields. She is very curious to know why it's there and what's going to be done about it. The Lasbys drive along in silence for a moment as the scene cuts to a quick exterior shot to show the progress the station wagon is making up the long dirt road leading up to the large piece of property the Lasbys hope will prove to be the old Talbot farm. We now move to scene 32, which will be an exterior setting / location, daytime, early afternoon, continued from last scene. Martin continues to steer the Lasby station wagon along the dirt road in between these front two fields and toward the home which sits at the road's end. The station wagon trudges along at an idle speed as Lasbys observe the property, their eyes picking up on more and more detail in regards to the poorly kept and even downright unruly conditions of the property as they move along. Bold letter E. And we just move right along to scene 33, which is going to be our interior setting / location. This is going to be daytime, early afternoon, continued from last scene, as the station wagon rolls on along the dirt road. Martin and Paulette can't help but feel a bit taken aback and even concerned as they glance out the station wagon's windows, seeing the fields and what they can see of the property in such shambles. The Lasbys now begin to focus on some of the property's other structures as they lapse back into conversation. This is in conjunction with the Bold letter C, we move on to dialogue, beginning with Paulette addressing Martin. The house looks like it's in need of repairs, too. Martin, responding to Paulette. Yeah, and it wouldn't hurt to pressure wash all of that mold and gunk and algae off of the home and slather a fresh coat of paint onto it, too. You'd think they'd at least trim the hedges and pull all of those overgrown vines and weeds away from the place. Paulette, do you think these people are just dirt poor? Could that be why things are like this? Could it be that they just can't afford to take care of this place? Maybe the farm isn't producing. Maybe the people can't turn a profit and in turn have just let things slide downhill and fall apart. Martin, it sure does look that way. But they have cattle and horses in the fields. That's at least a good sign. I don't get the trash piles, though. Paulette, me neither. It's horrible that those animals don't have clean fields to graze in. Martin, worrying that Paulette might bring up the condition of the animals' fields to the owner of this property, Martin calmly and informally reminds Paulette, remember to mind your manners and not to criticize the farmer about his fields. That is, if you hope for us to be welcomed as guests here. Paulette, both agreeing and showing frustration. I know, but all that garbage in those fields with those animals really does bother me. Martin, all of those broken windows, you know there's no air conditioning out here. I bet that roof leaks too. There's trash everywhere. What are these people, hoarders or something? Paulette, if what it's like on the outside is any indication of what it's going to be like on the inside, then we better brace ourselves. I don't mind respecting other people's privacy and ways and customs, but I really don't care to see other people suffering in filth and ruin. Martin, sounding alarmed. You're not suggesting that we enter that place if we're invited in, are you? Paulette, sounding passionate and determined. Yes, Martin, I am. If my relatives live here, then I want to meet them, find out a little about them, and maybe even help them a little if we can. Martin, aren't we supposed to be on vacation, enjoying ourselves? Paulette, look, I don't even know whether or not my family still owns this property, but if they do, though they're long-distance relatives who I've never met, they're still family, and we're going to check in on them and even lend a hand if we can. Maybe they can show us around in return. Martin, being serious but witty. I don't know, Paulette. Something about this whole ordeal just seems to reek of something nasty. Paulette, acknowledging Martin's immediate referenced concern. Yeah, I hear ya. It's faint, but I can smell it too. It's probably coming from those trash heaps strewn about in the fields. Martin. Yeah, perhaps. But it's been building the closer we get to this place. We now pause for character actions. Paulette shoots Martin a look, and Martin decides to change the subject, attempting to stay positive. Martin, again. Let's just get up to the house, knock on the door, meet these people, and find out who they are. Then we can decide what to do from there. Pause for character actions. Agreeably enough, Paulette slowly nods her head up and down, letting it go at that. Cut to an exterior shot of the Lasby's station wagon as it nears the main house. We now move to scene 34. This will be an exterior setting / location, and or a good place to utilize a shot of the exterior through the Lasby's station wagon's front windshield, showing the home from Martin and Paulette's position in the vehicle. This will be daytime, early afternoon. This will be continued from the last scene. As the Lasby's station wagon approaches the main house, the natural sounds of the farm and the surrounding sparse forest are interrupted by a number of loud screams. The Lasbys witness a short, plump, round-looking man come running out from off to the right northern side of the main house with a red sheet, or maybe it's a tablecloth, hanging down from the back of his neck like a cape. The sheet or tablecloth tied around the man's neck actually does sort of look a bit like a cape. The short, plump, round-looking man is running and waving his hands around in the air like he's playing a game where somebody else is chasing him. The man has a sweaty and dirty blue shirt on, stained and soiled khaki shorts, and dirty, blackened, bare feet revealing long, yellowing, unkempt toenails. The short, plump, round man is smiling, revealing a set of crooked teeth which are nearly as yellow as his toenails. He has a good amount of stubble growing off of his chin and cheeks. The stubble doesn't quite form a beard, but the man clearly hasn't shaved his face in a couple of days. The man has green eyes and dark, sun-streaked, slightly graying brown hair with a very noticeable receding hairline. The patch of hair that's supposed to be at the top of his head obviously having gone missing in action some time ago. A goofy, spacey, simple, almost stupid-looking grin is practically plastered on the short, plump, round man's face at most times. This will mark the first appearance of Byron Wayde. What looks to be perhaps a 10-year-old boy soon comes running around the house in pursuit of Byron Wayde, followed by what looks to be perhaps a 5-year-old boy. The first boy is Spaz, and the second boy is Boz. Soon, Byron and the two children notice the Lasby station wagon and stop what they are doing, dead in their tracks, to stare at the approaching vehicle. Blank expressions of wonder, curiosity, and uncertainty fill all three of their faces. The Waydes don't get many visitors out here in the forested mountains. And, well, this scene that we just covered, it will pertain to both, it can be done from both E or C, bold letter E or bold letter C, but we're mainly focusing on the exterior of the Wayde family's property. Having made our way most of the way toward the house, we can get that awesome shot through the windshield and see Byron and the kids come running out and making their appearance from off to the Lasby's right side for the first time. So we have options with that one, and of course I like to encourage the adventure. I like to encourage the creativity. I like to encourage one to use their imagination. So I'll keep saying that way it keeps on, encouraging. I'm having fun with this. All right, and we are going to be moving into a little bit of dialogue with this exterior. We begin with some character actions. And we need to move into character actions because we are considering both perspectives that we are introducing. So it was easier, instead of including this into the settings, because we are going to go into some dialogue, we're going to do character actions, and we're going to explain something real quick. Martin and Paulette voice over with the through the car window shot, or if not, switch back to interior scene from inside the Lasby station wagon for the upcoming dialogue as Byron Wayde and the kids enter the scene and begin to stare at the approaching Lasbys and their station wagon. We're going to begin this dialogue with Paulette addressing Martin and sounding excited. "Oh, look, honey, people!" Martin replying to Paulette in a less enthusiastic, somewhat flippant tone. a voice. Yeah, how about that? Paulette, spoken in a warning, as in a sort of scolding tone of voice. Martin, don't be so nervous, and please try to be polite. We pause for character actions. Martin falls silent, and the scene now cuts to an exterior shot from the Waydes perspective. We enter scene 35. This will be an exterior setting / location. Daytime, early afternoon. Continued from the last scene, from the Waydes perspective. Having already stopped what they are doing, the Waydes stare at the station wagon as it makes its way up their driveway and toward their home. After a moment of blank, dumbfounded stares, one of the children finally speaks. Boz's reaction is very similar to Paulette's reaction in scene 34's dialogue upon seeing the Waydes, which isn't included. And this is, of course, in conjunction with the main setting / location marked in bold with the letter E. We begin the dialogue with Boz, sounding impressed yet a little nervous as he addresses Byron Wayde. Look, Daddy, people. Spaz takes off running, circling Byron and Boz while shouting, people, people, yeah, 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 people. Byron, timed to where Spaz is still shouting, settle down, kids, especially you, Spaz. Let's go and see what they want. We now cut for character actions. The present group of Waydes begin walking toward the dirt road, which also makes for the property's driveway, in order to greet the approaching vehicle, just as Martin and Paulette are pulling up in front of the Wayde family's main house in their station wagon. We now move to scene 36. 36 will be an interior setting / location, daytime, early afternoon, continued from last scene, inside the Lasby's station wagon, with Martin driving and pulling up to what the Lasbys hope will be the old Talbot farm, but will soon learn has now become the Wayde family's property, connected to the bold letter C. We move straight into the dialogue with Martin addressing Paulette. Perhaps joking, or perhaps not. I say we make like we're lost and turn the car around right now while there's still time. Paulette responding to Martin, initially sounding more surprised, but then sounding amused despite scolding Martin. Martin, oh, behave yourself. Martin enjoying himself. I'm just saying that there's still time. Paulette, spoken boldly and confidently. We're here and we're going to meet these people and try to enjoy ourselves. Martin, giving in. Yes, dear, whatever you say, dear. Paulette, that's more like it. Pause for character actions. Paulette smiles triumphantly while Martin shrugs his shoulders and shakes his head but wages no further protest on his end. And the camera cuts to an exterior shot to end this scene and begin the next. Scene 37. This will be an exterior setting / location. This will be the long one, the extensive one. This will be daytime, still early afternoon. Of course, continued from the last scene. Martin finishes pulling the Lasby station wagon up the dirt driveway, passing the fields and soon parking in front of the Wade family's main house. Byron, Spaz, and Boz walk up and stand in wait for the Lasby station wagon to park and the couple inside to get out. After parking the vehicle, Martin and Paulette do just that, getting out of their station wagon on their respective sides and walking up to the man and his 2 boys to introduce themselves. The Lasbys are about to meet the people currently living at the old Talbot farm, the Waydes. On the dirt driveway in front of the Wade family's main house, the Lasbys and the Waydes begin the meet and greet process. This will be in conjunction with bold letter E. We begin with Paulette addressing Byron Wade. Hello. We've come from out east, a city near New World's capital of Atlantis known as Trinity, and we're vacationing out here in the west for the first time in our lives. Byron, addressing his boys in an excitable tone. Wow, isn't that great, kids? Boz, spoken simultaneously, responding to his father in an enthusiastic tone of voice. Yeah. And Spaz, spoken simultaneously, also responding to his father, and spoken in a much louder voice and with much more enthusiasm than his brother. Yeah. Byron, now addressing Paulette and taking a good look at her. But what brings the 2 of you out here? We don't get too many visitors out this way, you know. Martin, speaking up for the first time and addressing Byron Wade. I can imagine living way back here in the woods and all. Paulette, sounding more cordial than her husband. My husband would love to own a farm, but unfortunately, we're city folk. We only get to do our adventuring on the weekends and when we go on vacations. We train and work out all the time, though. Martin. First sentence directed at Paulette, second sentence directed at Byron. We sure do, honey, and now we're out here in the Wild West. We've been looking forward to this vacation for a long time now. Byron, now addressing both of the Lasbys. I see. So, you still haven't told me what brings you all the way out here. Paulette, first apologizing, then awkwardly trying to find the right words, she soon gives up and introduces herself and her husband. Oh, I'm sorry. I was getting to that. Gosh, I had this whole speech planned out in my head and everything. Oh, geez. My name is Paulette Lasby, and this is my husband, Martin. Byron, being cordial. Pleased to meet ya. I'm Byron Wade. My wife, Mei Lynn, is in the house with the other kids. We call this one Spaz, and this one here is Boz. Paulette, first replying to Byron, then addressing Spaz and Boz simultaneously. Pleased to meet you. Hi, guys. Boz, spoken in a shy, polite tone of voice. Hello. Spaz, shouting the first 4 lines off as quick as he can, then pausing to take a deep breath before slowing down, but not toning it down, to conclude with his 5th and final sentence. Hi, hello, how are ya? How you doing? Pleased to meet ya. Martin, awkwardly laughing at the child's unexpected outburst, he comments to Byron, cute kids. Byron, calmly but very firmly addressing Spaz. Behave yourself before I knock you back into next week. We pause for character actions. Martin and Paulette exchange a tense and troubled look, thinking to themselves that Byron is just joking, but by no means appreciating his crude sense of humor. Martin and Paulette are appalled by the way Byron went about addressing and scolding the older boy in such a harsh manner. However, Spaz is still smiling, and now he's spinning around and humming a tune. Spaz obviously doesn't seem too bothered by Byron's warning. The Lasbys noticed that, though the 2 boys look a lot alike, Spaz both looks and acts a little off. He seems very hyperactive. These 2 boys are really just about polar opposites whenever it comes to the way they act. Martin and Paulette get the impression that Spaz might even have some slight mental handicaps hindering certain aspects of his growth and development, whereas Boz looks and acts just fine. Byron, again, addressing Martin and Paulette in response to Martin's comment. Yeah, they're little monsters, but what can you do? At least they keep me plenty busy and occupied. Pause for character actions. Martin and Paulette again interpret Byron's crudeness as an attempt at humor, but this attempt has also failed to captivate them. Quite the contrary, actually. The Lasbys are suddenly feeling a bit uneasy and wary of Byron, and the looks on their faces show it. We now move back into character dialogue. We begin with Martin sounding uneasy. Okay. Right back into character actions. An awkward pause as Martin and Paulette exchange bewildered looks. And back into dialogue with Byron now. Byron nonchalantly breaking the pause in the conversation. You folks still haven't told me what y'all are doing way out here in the woods. Paulette sounding more prepared this time around. You know, I keep trying to get to that, but I keep getting sidetracked somehow. My Grandpa Talbot gave me this address. Pause for character actions. Paulette waits to see if the name will ring any bells, hoping that it will. But she soon realizes that it does not. Back to dialogue. Byron, confirming what Paulette can already see. Huh? Why would he do that? Paulette, this is the old Talbot farm, isn't it? Byron, sounding a bit pressured. I don't know. I forget the name of the original owner. My wife takes care of things like that. To tell you the truth, I don't remember who we got this place from. Paulette, is your wife home? Byron, yes. Paulette, may we speak with her, please? You see, one of the things we're trying to look into on our vacation is our family history. The thing is, I only have this address to go on when it comes to trying to track down any living relatives who might still live out this way. I'd like to see what your wife might remember about the old owners and maybe find out if she might have a forwarding address or an idea of where we might track them down. Byron, I can go and get her. Paulette, thank you. That'd be great. We pause for character actions. Byron scratches at an ear as he walks up the steps to the main house's deck-like front porch, heading toward the home's front door. The kids stay with the Lasbys. Spaz is inching his way closer and closer to the couple, cautiously and warily studying and examining Martin and Paulette. Boz is just kind of silently hanging out with the couple and trying his best to fit in. The Lasbys notice that Though these boys may look a lot alike, they act almost like polar opposites. Looking down and watching his steps, Byron carefully crosses the main house's deck-like front porch. Arriving at the front door, he pulls the door open, sticks his head in, and calls out to his wife, Maylin. We move back to character dialogue with Byron calling out to Maylin. Maylin, come here for a minute. There are some people here who want to speak with you about the property. Maylin responding to Byron, her voice coming from inside of the house and therefore sounding a bit distant and somewhat drowned out. Oh, okay. I'm a-comin'. We now pause for character actions. Byron walks back over to join the Lasbys and his kids. The two boys are both still staring up at these two new strangers in quiet fascination. Dialogue. Byron addressing Martin and Paulette. She'll be right out. Character actions. Paulette and Martin politely smile and nod their heads. Character actions. Back to dialogue. Paulette politely replying to Byron. Thank you. Byron, with a tone of admiration to his voice. You're going to love my wife. She's the best. I don't know what I'd do without her. She's very smart, and she's good with keeping track of things and keeping things organized. Maybe she can help you track down your relatives. She'll be out in a moment. Paulette. Okay. Martin. Yes, thank you. Byron. No problem. We pause for character actions. The camera cuts to a shot of Malin Wade appearing from off to the left side of the main house from where the group is located. She is wearing a stained and soiled light pink nightgown, and she is barefoot like Byron and the kids. She rounds the corner of the home and walks over to join the rest of the group. Returning to dialogue. Maylin greeting Martin and Paulette. Hello, I'm Maylin Wade. How can I help you folks? Paulette greeting Maylin. Hi, I'm Paulette Lasby, and this is my husband, Martin. Maylin addressing Martin with a bright smile and in a spunky, slightly giddy tone of voice. Well, hello there. Martin, feeling a little hesitant now, but still returning Maylin's greeting. Hi, pleased to meet you. Paulette, getting to the point and spitting out a mouthful as she addresses Maylin. We're on vacation, and we've come all the way out west from Trinity, a suburban district just outside of Atlantis. And one of our goals is to track down any relatives who still might live out this way. Martin, spoken proudly while addressing Maylin. My wife and I both stem from the bloodlines of some of the explorers who first ventured out this way to conquer, claim, and settle the western frontier in the days of old. And we've come all the way out here to see what all we can learn and what sort of adventures we can recreate. Mei Lin, sounding unimpressed. Uh-huh. Paulette, moving forward. My Grandpa Talbot gave me this address. He told me that we still might have family living out here on the old Talbot farm, but apparently that's not so. We were wondering if you might have an address or a phone number or anything else that might help us get in contact with the previous owners of this property. Mei Lin, sounding a bit defensive and taken aback. We are the previous owners. My family has always owned this property. I am a Talbot. I was a Talbot before I was a Wade. Paulette, overlap line, sounding confused. Oh, Martin, overlap line, overlapping Martin's first sentence with Paulette's previous dialogue, with Martin also sounding confused, looking first to Mei Lin, and then to Byron, and then back to Mei Lin again as he says the remainder of this dialogue. Huh? Wait a minute. But he just said interrupted. Byron, interrupting Martin, nervously scratching at his ear and looking uncertain while stammering out his words, unable to finish a single sentence. But I thought... Cut for character actions real quick. Mei Lin turns Byron's way and looks straight at him, her hazel eyes cold and penetrating, and looking as if they were issuing a warning. Martin and Paulette notice the unspoken interaction between Mei Lin and Byron, but they have no idea what to make of it. Alright, back to dialogue. Paulette, trying to be polite but firm in her approach while she attempts to clarify things. Ma'am, excuse us, but we're a little confused. Your husband just told us that you people bought this farm from the people who used to live here. When I mentioned the Talbot name, well... he acted like he'd never heard of it. Now you're telling us that you're a member of the Talbot family and this is your farm and you've always lived here. I'm sorry, but I'm just a little bit confused right now. Mei Lin, politely attempting to explain herself to Paulette and Martin. However, when she gets to her last sentence, Mei Lin turns to face Byron with a brusque scowl, and her voice takes on a bit of a harsh tone. We'll get there. You'll have to excuse my husband. He has trouble remembering things. If it involves everyday routine, well, he does pretty good, but give him time to forget something and you can consider it gone for good. Unfortunately, that includes things like my birthday, our wedding anniversaries, and even my maiden name. Pause for character actions. Byron grins his goofy grin as he shamefully hangs his head, now staring down at either his feet or the ground. We return to dialogue with Martin, smiling and accepting Maylin's answer. Oh, okay. That explains a lot. Paulette, not so easily sold. But then why did your husband say that you bought the farm from the previous owners? Maylin explaining how her and her husband originally came about the property. She says, he doesn't remember how we got this farm. We didn't buy it, we inherited it when my pa died. My older brother would have inherited it, but he died a couple years before Pa passed on. Paulette finally sold. She now sympathizes with Maylin's hard luck. I'm so sorry to hear about your losses. Is your mother still alive? Maylin. No, she died a long time ago. We're what's left of the Talbots out here in the West. We're the very last of them. Paulette. That's a shame, but at least we get to meet you and your wonderful family. Maylin. You say you folks came from way out on the East Coast? Paulette. That's right. We're city folk. But we go out adventuring every chance we get. This is our first time out west, however. Maylin. Well, you folks must be tired from driving. Would you like to come in and relax a little? Paulette. Oh, well, we have a hotel room about an hour or two away from here. We didn't just arrive today or anything. Martin, smiling and elaborating upon what Paulette has just said. That's right. We arrived the day before yesterday. We were pretty tired the first day, but we managed to get a good day's worth of adventuring in yesterday, and we decided we'd try to find this place today, and well, here we are. Paulette, taking her cue from Martin. What we'd really like is to see the farm. Would you folks mind showing us around a little? I mean, we don't want to be a bother or anything, but if you don't mind, interrupted. We start with character actions. Byron, Maylin, Boz, and Spaz are all smiles while Paulette is talking. Maylin anxiously interrupts Paulette before she can finish. Maylin interrupting Paulette. Shucks, we don't mind at all. We're glad to have you here. It's not every day that folks come out this way, and especially relatives from a big city out east. Byron will be happy to show you around. Won't you, Byron? Byron, responding to Maylin, but addressing the Lasbys. Sure, I'd be glad to. I can show you the fields and the barn, And there's even a path into the mountains that leads off to the lake. Paulette, questioning Byron with a glimmer of hope and excitement in her eyes. Do you mean a lake in the middle of a clearing that's sort of scrunched in between the mountains? Byron, responding to Paulette and sounding a little surprised. Yup, that's the one. How did you know? Paulette, ignoring Byron's question and excitedly addressing Martin. Oh, Martin, that must be the lake my Grandpa Talbot told me about. He made it sound so beautiful. It must be the same one. Byron, agreeing. I'd say it must be. It's definitely one of a kind, that's for sure. I'll have to take you to see it. Martin, addressing Byron and showing genuine interest and even excitement at the prospect of seeing the farm and adventuring down to the lake. That'd be great. Paulette, first addressing Byron, but then thanking both adult Waydes. Yes, it would. Wow. Thank you both so much. Maylin, addressing the Lasbys. I hope you don't mind it if the kids tag along. We pause for character actions. Spaz has been behaving himself, but now he gets a little hyper, knowing that he's going to get a chance to spend some time with these new people. Boz is still clinging close to the Lasbys and behaving himself. Boz is noticeably just downright in awe of these visiting strangers from the east. Returning to dialogue, Paulette responding to Maylin. We don't mind at all. Martin responding to Maylin. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be just fine. Byron addressing Maylin. The kids seem to like these people. Look at Boz. He hasn't stopped looking up at these two the whole time they've been here. Maylin, looking and smiling at Boz, but addressing the Lasbys. As she delivers the last sentence, she turns to look at Spaz and her smile fades. But we'll get to that. Ah, how sweet. He's infatuated with you guys. Boz is such a good boy. Spaz is the one you gotta keep your eye on. Byron, immediately and almost impulsively agreeing with his wife. That's for sure. Spaz, upon hearing his name mentioned, he jumps up, spins around in a few circles, and then starts to holler and act out a bit. Ah, I'm the king, just like my daddy. I'm going to be the strongest superhero in the world. Alright, pause for character actions. Martin and Paulette grin and smile but say nothing. They like the kids. The kids bring the Lasbys a feeling of happiness and a sense of hope. Boz seems like a wonderful, darling boy. Spaz is noticeably a very hyper and wound up youth, but even he seems all right to the Lasbys. Returning to dialogue with Maylin. Wherever we Whatever we can do to make you feel at home, you folks just let us know, okay? Martin, overlap line, nodding his head. Thank you. Paulette, overlap the line with Martin's, nodding her head. Thank you. Maylin, well, I have to go back in to tend to the other children. We have 6 of them in all. Paulette, wow. Martin, you sure do have your hands full. Maylin, while departing the group, beginning to make her way back around the home in the direction she came from to get back inside. Sure do. Welp, it was nice to meet you folks. Paulette, nice to meet you too. Martin, yes. We move to character actions. Maylin walks away, and Martin and Paulette turn to Byron Wade. Character dialogue, Byron, addressing the Lasbies. So, shall we start the tour? Are you ready to have a look around? Paulette, responding to Byron. Sure. Martin, responding to Byron. That'd be great. We cut for character actions. Spaz runs around hooting and hollering, apparently more excited than anybody to be going on this tour of the farm. Dialogue, Byron, looking around and thinking about where to begin the tour, he comes up with the simplest solution. His smile widens and he chuckles a bit during the delivery of the last 2 sentences. We keep our horses and cattle in the front fields. That's the well we drink out of, right there in the horses' field. And over there is the cow's field. Oh, we'll be butchering another cow sometime soon. Would you like to take part in something like that? Pause for character actions. The grossed out, sickened expression now plastered on Paulette's face illustrates her distaste for what Byron has just said, but she does not voice her disapproval. We move to character dialogue with Martin, attempting to respectfully decline Byron's offer without showing his revulsion. Yeah, no. We're not hunters, we're adventurers. We don't want to take part in anything like that. Byron? Okay, but it's actually kind of cool. Martin, that's all right, we'll take your word for it. Her curiosity getting the better of her, Paulette now speaks. What's with all those piles in the fields? Byron, sounding nonchalant. Just trash. Paulette. Oh. Martin. What's with the red cape? Byron. Me and the kids were playing comic book superheroes. I'm Thor. Martin. Oh. Byron. Come on. I'll show you folks the barn next. We cut for character actions. Byron walks off in the direction of the barn. Spaz immediately follows after his father. Martin and Paulette exchange an awkward glance in each other's direction before following after Byron and Spaz. Boz, on the other hand, is still right next to the Lasbies, and he moves when they do. We will be moving on into scene 38 in the next video, which will continue Act 4, Day 5. I hope you're enjoying all of these videos. I'm hoping you're enjoying the reading of this manuscript. I'm hoping you are enjoying the Monsters Saga as a whole. I thank you as always for tuning in and checking out the videos. This is fun. I'm enjoying this. And well, it's an experience, that's for sure. And well, we're going to call it quits for this video. We will pick up, well, with the next video, which will be video number 7. But that will be the next one. For now, thank you as always. And well, alright, that'll do it. Bye-bye.